I got an email, and I had to bring this up. This is not necessarily wrestling related, so that means it might be entertaining. But Don from Memphis said, I've been listening to the show for a few years now, and I've heard Jim make sly references to and quote from the legendary Don Knotts movie, The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. Please ask Jim to talk about his love of this movie. Well, Don, I will certainly do that because I can't think of anything better to talk about on a wrestling podcast than The Ghost of Mr. Chicken these days. No. I love that movie. I have the VHS. I have the DVD. I quote from it all the time. As a matter of fact, the last couple of times I've given a speech at like the Charlotte Fan Fest when they have the, the awards banquet, or at any time that I've been speaking in public over the last several years, and Stacy's been there, she always gives me at least one, "Attaboy, Luther!" Brian, when was the first time that you saw The Ghost of Mr. Chicken, and what made you fall in love with it?
What a fantastic question. Of course, I've never seen the movie. I have it. I bought it recently on Apple.
What?
I bought it on formerly iTunes, now just Apple, I guess the store. I have it. I'm going to watch it, but I've never seen it on TV. Never even heard it talked about until you would start referencing it here on the show.
Oh, for God's sake. I thought you were supposed to be my conduit to pop culture, to relevance, to all the things that people need to know about pop culture. You're my guy, you're my touchstone, and you are admitting here in public that you have never seen The Ghost of Mr. Chicken. Son of a bitch.
You know, and it's funny, too, because in general, I'm usually pretty good with pop culture trivia from 1966, but in this instance, no.
Have you ever owned a television?
I have several in my office right now.
Well, it's on television.
When? I've never seen it on TV. Where?
It was just on Svengoolie 2 weeks ago.
What?
Yes, 2 or 3 weeks ago, Svengoolie aired it. What in the world? You're telling me now you missed Svengoolie for a week, and it just happened to be the week that Ghost and Mr. Chicken was on?
You know, as crazy as it sounds, I'm going to tell you I missed Svengoolie for a week, and that was the week he happened to air this movie I've been waiting to see. That's why I'm like amazed that you say he actually aired it a few weeks ago.
Yes, it was like three Saturday nights ago, I think. Anyway, for those of you also as uninitiated as Brian Last, the reason I fell in love with this movie is because I remember the night that my mother said, "Hey, you want to watch The Ghost of Mr. Chicken tonight?" And of course, with that name, I, of course, said yes without knowing what it was about. But my mom, she liked horror movies. She called them scary movies. And I even got to go to see some of the Christopher Lee Hammer Dracula films that lasted to the late 60s, early 70s in the theater. I'd missed The Ghost of Mr. Chicken in the theater because I was only, I think, 4 that year. But I knew Don Knotts from the Andy Griffith Show, right? And so this would have been the first time that The Ghost of Mr. Chicken was on the network, whatever night of the week movie. Remember? You might not even remember. They used to have the Sunday night movie, the Tuesday night movie.
I remember that, of course.
All right. Well, anyway, it was on the whatever night movie, and I fell in love with it from the premise to the haunted mansion. I love horror movies with old dark houses, old haunted houses, old scary houses. This thing was shot on the Universal Studio set right next to it wasn't the Munster house. It was the house next to the Munster house. All of the classic 60s character actors from TV shows. Dick Sargent, the second Darren Stevens on Bewitched. Phil Ober was old Nicholas Simmons, the heel in the piece. He was the alcoholic, abusive husband of Vivian Vance. Charles Lane, who just passed away here several years ago, the oldest actor in Hollywood. He lived to be 101. He was Homer Bedloe on Petticoat Junction. Rita Shaw, who was the banker's domineering wife. I think, wasn't she Aunt Hagatha on Bewitched? Ellen Corby from the Waltons. Burt Mustin, the oldest looking human being that ever lived. He looked like he was 90 years old for 40 years. Hal Smith, that played Otis Campbell on the Andy Griffith Show, was the drunk What was his name? Calver Weems. We mentioned Vic Mizzy did the theme song from we talked about Green Acres. How could I have left out? He did the Addams Family, especially the closing theme. They're showing that on MeTV 6 o'clock on weeknights now. The closing theme with the slide whistle and the fucking snare drum and the all the sound effects.
Addams Family or Munsters?
I like the Munsters when I was a kid better because they had the especially the wrestling episode, and I loved Frankenstein, but I have a better affection for Addams Family as I've gotten older. If that answers your question.
Okay.
But anyway, the whole premise of the thing, the spooky house with the fucking the curse on it and the secret passages and the spooky music from the organ loft. Every night at midnight, old Mr. Simmons climbs those stairs to the organ loft, and he plays the organ, still stained with Mrs. Simmons' blood. And they used Bonami. It's a fucking classic. And Luther Higgs's Don Knotts' speech at the picnic, for heaven's sake, every time that I do a fucking show somewhere and the fucking PA mic screws up, I said, well, the sound guy must be a Republican. It's a classic all the way through. Greatest movie ever. You have nothing to add to this because you're so deprived you've never seen this movie.
I enjoyed the novel. I knew that would get you.
Well, you know something? I'll tell you what. If you're a fan of The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, but you're not plucking your nether regions, folks, you're not keeping as smooth and slick as you should, but you can with our friends at Manscaped. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the summer is here, the time where the humidity factor increases, the swampiness in your various crotchal areas and the places that don't get a lot of sunlight or daylight. And I know from seeing a cross-section of my fans that there are many of you out there, there are some places that do not see daylight on a regular basis. And I'll tell you what, if you want to take care of that while at the same time not slicing yourself to bits, not nicking and cutting and hacking and bleeding all over the place, it's the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0, which includes the brand new Lawnmower 4.0, the 4th generation trimmer with advanced skin-safe technology to reduce grooming accidents. No ingrown hairs, no snags. It's got a 7,000 RPM motor. It sounds dangerous, but it's not. An on-off travel lock, and it gives you the ability to turn that 4,000K LED spotlight on and off if you want to. So you can do this in the dark. I prefer the light on. But nevertheless, whatever floats your boat or whatever trims your trigger. If the power grid goes out in Texas again, by cracky, you can use the Lawnmower 4.0 not only to shave your crotch, but also to illuminate the way. It's waterproof. You can use it in the shower, whatever. It also includes the Weed Whacker that chops up the worst weeds up top in your nose and in your ear. You can stick that almost everywhere. That's got a 9,000 RPM motor, 360-degree rotary dual blade system. It's even got proprietary skin-safe technology. Brian, they ought to put this shit in the space shuttle. Whatever you do, go to Manscaped and get the Performance Package 4.0, which even includes 2 free gifts, Manscaped boxers and the Shed travel bag. Plus, the Shears 2.0 luxury 4-piece nail kit with slash-twipped tweezers or slashed-schlipped fleezers or whatever. I'll say it again clearly and distinctly. Slash-tipped tweezers, rounded point scissors, fingernail clippers, and a medium grit nail file. Holy shit. That way, people are going to be seeing your fingernails and sometimes in the summer, your toenails. So
that is the roughest sentence you've ever read in your entire life.
Clip that nasty. Well, you try that. Slash tip tweezers, rounded point scissors, fingernail clippers, and a medium grit nail file. And a partridge in a fucking pear tree. Folks, go to manscaped.com/JCE, 20% off and free shipping. And you do not have to pronounce this stuff. Just use it. It's fine products. Manscaped.com/JCE for 20% off and free shipping. Eliminate the summer swamp in your pants with Manscaped.